queen f6. The best moves in chess are when you defend and attack at the same time. You defend d4 and you threaten checkmate on h8. A great move, queen f6. Welcome to the biggest online chess event. This is the Magnus Carlsen Invitational. Prize fund $250,000. Winner of this event gets $75,000. This is day 3 of the event. In this video I will be looking at the matchup between Magnus Carlsen and Alireza Firouzja. A quick player introduction. Magnus Carlsen, he's 29 years old from Norway. World number 1, rating 2863. His rapid rating 2881. Blitz rating 2887. Second only to Nakamura, who is world number 1 at 2900. He became world champion in 2013, retaining his title in 2015, 17 and 19. He may be the world number 1, but he has had a few coaches. These are his seconds. A few of these grandmasters have included John Ludwig Hammer, Mickey Adams, Niels Grandelius and Sam Shanklin. Alireza Firouzja, a few days ago he beat Carlsen in the first ever Chess 24 Cup final. 8.5, 7.5. It was a first to 8.5 and it was a fierce online blitz competition. I'll attach a link to this video in the top right corner and in the description below. He's 16 years old from Iran, world number 28, with a rating of 2728. His rapid rating 2703, blitz rating 2750, and he's known for being a very sharp tactical player. Carlsen ended up winning 2.5, 1.5. In this video I will be looking at game 3. Carlsen has white, Firouzja has black. The game began d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3, bishop b4. The Ragozin defense. C takes d5, e takes d5, bishop f4, castle. In game 1, knight c6 was played, which looks like a weird move because it blocks your own c-pawn. You want this pawn on c5 in the future to create a pawn break. Castle played in this game. e3, bishop f5. My first question is why not create a pawn break with c5? It gives black the chance to put the queen on a5 to put pressure in the center. So I was just playing around. I was wondering, what is wrong with this? You capture the pawn. Now black has an isolated pawn on d5. It can't be protected by any other pawn. Queen a5, putting pressure on this diagonal facing the white king. Bishop e5. This is the key move. Really cool move here. Now black can play a few moves here with knight c6, which doesn't work because you can just double the pawns and then go rook c1. Or knight d7, which defends your own knight but also attacks the bishop on e5. But here white plays a really cool move with a3. Now what happens if knight takes e5? Because you have removed the defender to the knight, you take the bishop on b4. Knight f3 check, take, queen b4 and now queen d4 holding everything, and white gets a nice ending after take. Double g pawns are useful, defending f3. White's got a queenside majority, and white's moves are very easy in this ending. After queen d4, you didn't have to take, you could go queen b2, but then you could play rook b1. Back to the game, after e3, bishop f5 played, queen b3 attacking the bishop on b4, but if you do move it, then the pawn on b7 would fall. Here, knight c6 makes more sense. You are defending the bishop, and you're keeping the bishop pair because at the moment black doesn't want to release the tension on the knight. On c3, knight h4, a huge move by Carlsen to put a knight on the edge, but white really wants this bishop off the diagonal. Bishop e6, bishop d3, a5 and now castle. The point of a5 is to play a4 later, so white just gets out the way with castling. Knight h5, funny how both players have the knight on the edge. It's like both players have the same idea of removing opponent's bishop off the diagonal. Bishop g3, Firouzja now grabs the bishop, take. The knight on the edge has options, it can go to f5 or to f3. But after bishop e7, Carlsen chooses to retreat it. Knight b4, bishop e2, another retreating move. c5, striking in the center. Now it's time for Carlsen to push Firouzja's pieces back. c4, queen d1, another retreating move. Is the central pawn chain a target? Knight goes back to a6 because he wants to retreat to c7 and try b5. I think black has overextended because white now breaks it up with b3. knight c7. You don't want to take because after queen b3, white has so many options. The knight can go to a4 to c5, or it can even come to b6. This queen on b3 attacks the b7 pawn. Rook can go to c1 to b1, the knight can come into e5. Too many options for white. Back to the game, knight c7 played. Carlsen took, take. Black is threatening b5, so a4 puts a stop to that. Bishop b4. The bishop was here on move 4. It is here again on move 20. Black argues the knight on c3 is stronger than the bishop, so black gets rid of it. Queen c2, take, take, knight d5, queen to a3. You can't play queen c4 because knight e3. Bishop attacks queen, the knight attacks the rook, so you have to save your queen. And then knight takes rook, and black is winning after this. White puts the queen on a3, rook c8, defending your weakness. Or is it a strength? We will see. Rook c1, targeting with two pieces, the rook and the bishop. Knight b4, defending with the bishop on e6. Rook c3, planning to target it with three pieces. Rook c1, maybe even a fourth piece, knight e5. Knight d5, rook back to c1. A tactical shot here. You can't take on c4 yet because knight f4 is a really cheeky move. If you go rook c8, knight e2 check. King f1, you might as well save it, so grab as much as you can. Take with check and then take, and black will be better. So at the moment, Carlsen is waiting patiently. He plans to take the c pawn later. Knight b4, knight e5. Three pieces attacking c4 now. c3. Now Carlsen tries to get rid of the knight on b4. Notice on the previous move, the c4 pawn controls d3 after you move it. White is now given a chance to play knight d3. Queen b6, rook b1. Pinning the knight to the queen on the b file. Bishop f5 played. An opportunity missed by black. He can actually play c2 here. Now what's the idea? If you just play rook b2, black can actually play queen a6. Really cool idea. If bishop f1, then bishop c4, putting pressure on this diagonal. If you go knight takes b4, it doesn't work out. Take, take, bishop f1, and then you have to grab the pawn. You can't go rook f1 because you get a queen. Now going back here, c2, rook b2, after queen a6, maybe white could play knight b4. It doesn't work because a b4, and notice both queens are attacked. If you play bishop a6, then you will take this one. If rook b7, a2, and then we have a deflection idea. So for example, if white played a move, then you can queen, and then you can get a queen. Now back to the game, bishop f5 played, rook b3. Now Carlsen is in control. He still maintains the pin on the b file, taking the knight, take. Now we have three pieces on the c pawn. c2, because he's going to lose the pawn anyway. You can't move the knight, because rook attacks the queen. So c2, take, take, take. Still the pin on the b file. Queen c6, bishop f5. You can go bishop d1, just going to f3, which is where the bishop belongs. Bishop f5, queen d5, bishop g4. It will always have a safe home on f3. Knight c2, queen b2, knight b4, rook c3, getting the c file, b6, bishop e2, queen f5, rook back, g6, bishop b5. Putting the bishop here, there's a cancellation effect on the queen side, even though black is 2 pawns versus 1. On the queen side, he cannot move them. Rook c8 played. Perhaps a better option, rook d8, just to keep more pieces on the board. Rook c8, Firouzja goes for a rook trade, even though he is a pawn down, so maybe rook d8 was better. Take, take, queen d2. e4 might look good because you are pushing your majority, but after queen g4, queen b1, black's queen is more active, and I'm guessing Carlsen saw this, and after f5, even though it does say white is winning, it might be a bit unclear. Queen d2 first, Carlsen will get e4 moving soon. Queen f5, f3, there we go. Queen g5, king f2, knight d5, queen d3, now e4 will be next. h5, e4, knight b4, queen e3. Wanting to trade, Firouzja says no, queen c3, very important move. Because f4 is what Carlsen played next, but you can't play it here because knight c2. Getting the d4 pawn. So queen c3 first. The knight can't go to c2. King h7, big move. So let's have a look at king g7, which is better. as we compare it shortly to the game, because it defends f7. Now I'm just wondering, if black does nothing, how does white break through? Let's go f4, h4, let's just get the king forward. Take, take, king g8, okay, black keeps doing nothing. King f3, king g7, queen d2. Notice the queen side cancellation effect. It's as if these pieces don't really exist. King g8 and now d5. Finally, we're making progress. The king is very useful on f3. Queen d6, queen d4, and white is slowly gonna win this. King h7, f4, queen e6. Queen c4 played, a huge decision by Carlsen. Queen takes e4 played, but Carlsen gets a very important pawn, the f7 pawn. Queen takes f7 check, king h6, queen f6. The best moves in chess are when you defend and attack at the same time. You defend d4, and you threaten checkmate on h8. A great move, queen f6. King h7, he has to stop that. Queen e5. Any queen exchange will be losing, so queen c2 check, king g1. The king is safe hiding behind the double g-pawns, which have been an asset the entire game. Queen d2, king h2, let's just hide. Knight c2, planning to create threats with knight d4 or knight e1 threatening queen g2 checkmate, but this is too late because white also has a powerful piece pair. Queen e7 check, king h8. The king can go back, but white can still force a check. Queen f8 check, the king has to go back. And one more move, bishop c4, and Firouzja resigned. Black resigned because he can't stop checkmate. If you go knight e1, you don't need to play bishop d5 because you've got checkmate in 2 yourself. Queen g8 check, king h6, and queen h8 checkmate. I think this was the best game of the match, that's why I chose to go through it. Check out one video here and another video over here. If you enjoyed the show, why not like the video and subscribe at the same time? Don't forget to hit that bell to get notified each time I release a new video. If you really enjoyed the show, consider a small donation. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching.